Good morning, friends. Welcome to Dr. PM Times. This is Dr. Murugesan. In this episode, we are going to know how to evaluate clinically and diagnose a person to be obese. Clinically, when a person comes to the clinic, how to categorize him as an obese, how to say whether he is obese or not, just by three physical measurements. Number one, it is called body mass index. Number two is waist hip ratio. And number three is skin fold thickness. By doing these three clinical parameters, by assessing these three clinical parameters, we can come to a conclusion whether the person is obese or not. All three are simple physical measurements. You don't need any advanced equipments to measure this. Anybody can do it even in their home. Now, what is body mass index? It is the ratio between weight in kilograms divided by height in meter square. So, a body mass index between it comes as a decimal. A body mass index, say less than 18.5, a person is categorized as underweight. A body mass index between 18.5 to 24.9, a person is categorized as normal weight. A body mass index from 25 to 29.9, a person is categorized as overweight. A body mass index more than or equal to 30 is categorized as obese. And obese also can be graded as grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 obesity. If the person's body mass index is more than or equal to 40, is categorized as morbid obesity or very severe obesity. Okay, so body mass index, I'll just to say again, it is a ratio between weight in kgs divided by height in meter square, and normal BMI is between 18.5 to 24.9, and a person is diagnosed as obese if his body mass index is more than or equal to 30. Next, waist hip ratio. It is the ratio between the waist circumference and the hip circumference. Now, we will first know what is waist circumference. Waist circumference is a circumference measured by an inch tape in or centimeters. The narrowest part of waist, usually just above the umbilicus, in the midpoint between the lowermost part of rib cage and uppermost part of iliac crest. You take an inch tape, keep it snugly, and then ask the person to take 2 to 3 breaths, then ask him to stand straight with feet apart, and the measurement should be done while exhaling. He should not inhale, tuck in and try to reduce the circumference. He should exhale, and while exhaling, you should measure and make the person used to the procedure by making him taking a deep breath 3 or 4 times, and never allow the subject to look down. When he look down while measuring, while he looks down, he tries to contract the abdominal wall muscles and just he may mask the circumference. So, make him relaxed, stand straight with feet apart, measure the narrowest part of waist after exhaling, and ask the subject to look ahead, not look down. Then, normal waist circumference is less than or equal to 90 centimeter in male and less than or equal to 82 centimeter in women. This is the ideal waist circumference any individual should try to maintain. More than this, the person has got a risk factor to develop metabolic syndrome. The next, hip circumference. It is the circumference measured in the widest part of buttocks, where the subject is asked to stand with the feet together and look ahead. Take the inch tape, measure around the widest part of buttocks. Take this ratio. The waist hip ratio should be usually, it is desirable to maintain less than 0.9 for men and 0.8 for women. Any waist hip ratio more than 1 for men and more than 0.9 for women is considered a high risk factor for metabolic syndrome, coronary heart disease, type 2 diabetes mellitus, etc. etc. Third is the skin fold thickness, which is measured using a Vernon caliper, because as I have already told, most of the storage fat, especially in women, is stored in the subcutaneous tissue. So you measure the skin girth using this caliper. The major sites that are used for measurement are the chest, abdomen and thigh in the case of men, and in the case of women it is triceps, suprailiac region and the thigh you measure. Usual skin fold thickness is less than 20 millimeters in the case of men, the triceps skin fold thickness I am saying, and in case of women it is less than 30 millimeters. So this skin fold thickness also helps to assess how much subcutaneous fat is deposited in the individual and thus assess whether the person is obese. So to repeat, three parameters which can be assessed easily either at clinic or home using just a weighing machine and an inch tape. One is BMI, number two is waist hip ratio, and number three the skin fold thickness. By assessing all three, you can categorize whether the person is underweight, normal weight or overweight or obese category. Thank you, friends.